All right. Hey, everybody. I just wanted to shoot this quick video and get this training out to the whole team. This is a training that I did at the Super Saturday last weekend. And for those of you who missed it, Super Saturday was awesome. But I did a short training on the fortune is in the follow-up. And we hear that phrase a lot around our industry. That the fortune is in the follow-up. Exposure is everything, but the fortune's in the follow-up. And I hear it so often that it kind of started to become cliche. And I know fortune's in the follow-up, blah, 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 but what does that mean? And what does that mean for me and my business? And how do I actually implement it? So for me, something that I struggled early on in my business with was how to consistently and persistently follow up with the people who I had introduced to the opportunity. I know there's value in the follow-up, but I lacked an actual hands-on system of how to do that follow-up. So I'm going to share with you just real quick a slide that I came across, an infographic. So this opened my eyes. This sales statistic, and this is from the National Sales Executive Association. So this is across sales of every industry, every service, every product out there. This is just a broad statistic. So we're all reading adults, so I won't read through all of it, but just to give you the general idea, 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. We introduce them to our product or our service, and then we never call them back to follow up. And then it kind of goes through some more statistics, and then about halfway down, it says only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. So more than 3 contacts to the same prospect, only 10% of salespeople are doing that. And then if you drop all the way to the bottom, 80% of all sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So I can draw the conclusion from that only 10% of all salespeople are getting 80% of the sales. Only 10% of all salespeople, of professionals, are willing to do the follow-up required to get a vast majority of sales. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. The part that obviously I want to be one of those 10% people. I want to have a system in place that I can follow. I want to be able to consistently and professionally follow up with people until they decide to make that purchase, to give me a yes or a no. And I've kind of gotten to the point where tell me yes, tell me no. It doesn't matter to me either way, but I want to be able to note it and move on. Also, just to share with you some one of the pieces that Melissa Wilder trains on. Melissa Wilder is one of the executives in Legal Shield that's on the business solutions side, but she recommends having the same number of follow-ups each day. In your daily activities, you should have the same number of follow-ups as you have exposures. So if you're doing part-time spare time and you're doing 2 exposures a day, you should be doing 2 follow-ups a day. And, it doesn't have to necessarily be the same 2 people that you're badgering every day, but that you're following up with 2 individuals and then you're creating 2 new people, adding 2 new people into your pipeline. If you're doing 5 exposures a day is your goal, you should be doing 5 follow-up a day. And so that gave me a good rule of thumb. So now I know why it's important to do follow-ups, why it's so crucial to follow up consistently with our prospects, but also how many follow-ups to be doing a day. And so also the next point is something that once I learned this and started implementing it in my business, it changed everything. And that is simply to ask for the follow-up appointment. Ask for it. So when I share the opportunity or share a tool with someone and say, for example, hey, hey, Jody, I have something really important I want you to take a look at. It only takes 15 minutes. Would you be willing to look at it? Jody says, yeah, absolutely. What is it? And we have that conversation. I give her a tool. I said, great, here, if I give you this, would you? So if I give you this DVD, would you, when would you, how soon would you be able to watch it? It's only 30 minutes long. She's going to say, probably later this evening after the kids go to bed. Great. So if I call you tomorrow morning, we'll have something to talk about. We can talk about it then and I can get your feedback. Great. So then when I call tomorrow morning, Jody expects me to be calling. Jody knows I'm going to be calling. And when I call, it's not weird or awkward because we've set that follow-up appointment. And then even when I have that follow-up appointment, if they're still undecided, they need more information, I get them another tool. I do the same thing. All right, great. You need more information. When can I follow up with you? When are you going to have a time to take a look at that so I can follow up with you? And am always setting, I don't leave a conversation without setting that next follow-up appointment. Thirdly, consistency is key. You absolutely, I think of it as pushing a big boulder up a hill. And that's kind of how building momentum in our business is. At the beginning of your business, you make this decision to jump in. It's like pushing a big boulder up a hill. And follow-up especially is where I have seen the biggest example of this, where you're pushing it and you're getting it going and you're following up with people consistently and you get halfway up the hill. And if you literally drop the ball, if you just stop following up with people and you lose your place in what you're doing and you let it go, what happens? The boulder rolls to the bottom of the hill and then you have to exert that much more energy to get it going again. So whatever method you decide to use for following up with people, choose something that you can do and do consistently. And there is a way to professionally be persistent. And I've found going back to just asking for that follow-up appointment is the best way to be professionally persistent. So I have a few examples of follow-up systems that I have found and used, and I kind of use a combination maybe of a couple of them. So the first one is called Fort Knox in a Box, and that is just a recipe card box. And in it I have dividers numbered 1 through 31, and behind that I have the months of the year. So I have 12 more behind. I don't know if you can see that, but I have the months. So what I do is, like, I have a recipe card for each of my prospects. Every time I get a new prospect, I'll go and write up a new recipe card with their name. If they're not someone I have saved in my contacts in my phone, I would put their phone number and their email address there. Whatever tools they've seen, any notes on the back, I might put like where they work. If there's someone I don't know very well, any notes that are pertinent while anytime I'm talking to them in any of those follow-ups, like maybe points that stuck out to them, things when I ask that question, what did you like best, or what their level of interest was, I'll note that on the back. So next time I call them, I can remind them of what interested them before. So then that recipe card represents that person. Say today is the 1st of the month. And let's say my friend Dave is behind the 1st of the month. So today I would pull out the cards that are behind the 1st and go through and just call them. It takes like 15 minutes to go through and call all those cards. And each one that I talk to, I'm going to set that next follow-up appointment and just put it behind the date of when they've asked me to call and follow up with them. Super easy and simple, very analog. The one downside to this method is it's not real easy to throw the recipe box in my purse. So it's not real mobile. I mean, I could if I have a big purse, but it's, not ideal. So the alternative to this, Melissa Wilder, what she does is the same method, but with a 3-ring binder. So you get a 3-ring binder, and each of those dividers would have, you would put 31 pocket dividers, and then you just put your recipe cards or business cards inside of the pocket dividers. So you'd have 31 for the potential 31 days of the month, and then 12 more for the months. Now the months, the way I incorporate the months with this is, say I talk to Dave and he's like, I'm pretty interested, but we're working on our budget. We're big Dave Ramsey followers, and we're not going to be able to fit an extra $20 a month into our budget until November. That's a couple of months out. Okay, cool. I'll just put it behind November. And then on November 1st, I'm going to pull out all those cards and pick a date that I'm going to follow up with them. So that's the Fort Knox in a box. You can also do that as a binder method. The next method that I have found helpful is using just an analog day timer. I got this giant day timer from my mom, and I love it because it's so big that I can easily write in my schedule, make notes, and then over on the side, I'll write in the names of the people that I'm wanting to follow up with that day. I don't know if that's the best week for an example, but I can. So I don't know if you can see those, but so I'll put in my calendar, maybe people on my team or my goals for the day of who I want to follow up with, or whatever the case may be. So a nice big day timer if you're an analog pen and paper kind of person. If you're more digital, I have some great solutions for you. First of all, your phone. You can put all of your reminders and follow-ups, kind of the same thing, what days you need to follow up with whom, in your Google Calendar and iPhone calendar. Another great app that I don't have time to go into detail, that'll be a whole other training on, but Trello is amazing. It's like Daytimer meets Pinterest. So it's a fabulous, I use that quite a bit actually. And you can get the app on your phone that syncs with it on your desktop. It's all web-based. So if you're a digital person, Trello is an amazing tool to be able to do the same thing. And then finally, the last and perhaps most important element for follow-ups is personal development. Now, I know most people think, well, personal development, yeah, we know that's important, but what does that have to do with follow-up? Personal development is going to help you build up the mindset that you need to be able to follow up with people consistently. It helps build that foundation and build that conviction that we talk about in our LSU, that we talk about at our briefings of how sold out are you on your business? How sold out are you on the compensation plan? How sold out are you on this opportunity? And if you're doing your personal development every day and you're building that conviction every day and every week within your business, then you have a different posture when you go to approach people and follow up with them consistently and professionally. And then finally, I just wanted to share a quick story of my own personal success with using a follow-up system. I actually had someone that I had exposed to Legal Shield. He said, I already have Legal Shield, and I'm probably not interested in the opportunity, but I'm happy to be a referral source for you. So I went ahead and plugged him into my follow-up system. So about once a month, I would just call him with an update of, here's how things are going, and is there anything I can do for you, just to keep that top of mind point of reference. And I also had him in my Prospect by Legal Shield in a membership campaign to help him remember to use his membership and brand myself as the Legal Shield person, even though he already had Legal Shield. So because at some point then probably 2 or 3 months after I'd initially talked to him, he calls me up and he says, "Hey, I've been getting your emails and reading them periodically." He says, "I actually wanted to cancel my LifeLock membership and get ID Shield. Can I do that with you?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." He says, "Oh, and I'd also have a referral for you of someone who would be a really good associate." I was like, "Awesome, bonus." So I said, "Here, let me take you to my website." And he goes, "Oh, no, I'm driving right now. I can't do it, but I'll get it done this weekend when I sit down to do my budget." So I said, "Okay." Well, nothing came through in my back office. So I called him Monday morning just to make sure he didn't have any troubles getting in and getting started. And he said, "Well, no, I forgot about it. I didn't get to it, but I'll do it this weekend." And so I called him the next Monday when it didn't happen. And this went on for about 6 weeks. "I'll do it this weekend." And then following up and following up. And every time I would call him to follow up, he would say, "Thank you so much for consistently following up with me. Thank you for calling and reminding me again. It's on my to-do list." And finally, after about 6 weeks of this, he says, "Oh, I am so sorry. I keep spacing it out. It's on my to-do list. You know what? I'm sitting at my computer right now. Will you walk me through this process so I can get signed up and get that membership going?" And so I did that, and he got the membership. And had I not called, back to that infographic, had I not called every week to follow up with him for 6 weeks, it probably never would have happened. Or he just would have gone to the corporate site eventually 6 months down the road when he finally remembered to do it. So that is just one example of how following up with people consistently and having a system in place, having those reminders in place for me to see and know who I have to follow up with each day, has really helped my business have a lot more success than it did before. So I hope that's of value to you guys. I hope that helps you. And if you have any questions on specifics as far as what method you want to use and what you need to get going, or if you have any questions about how to follow up and you want to do some role playing, I'm open to that as well. You know how to get a hold of me, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.